Hello there, I'm Dr. Heather Denniston, and Dr. Laura Foster, your organizer and event creator and coordinator, has asked me to join you today and talk a little bit about vendor preparation. And I said yes, because I always love the opportunity to talk to folks about building their business and about just putting their best foot forward in a business situation and environment where you have the opportunity to build your business and get new customers. So I'm a chiropractor by trade. I had a practice for about 21 years, and then I went into the online space in the health and fitness industry. And I have done lots of events in both of those two roles, and on the front end and on the back end. So I've been a vendor, I've been an event coordinator where I've organized vendors. And so I have a few tips and tricks I'm going to share with you today, and hopefully you will find them useful. Now, I do not have slides today. You are going to want to hit pause and go and get a pen and some paper, because I'm hoping we have some great pearls that you're going to just want to jot down so that when the event gets a little closer, you can kind of review and remind yourself what you need to be working on. Okay, so I will assume you've gone and got a pen and paper, and we're going to dive right in. Our talk today is called Presence, Posture, and Persistence, and it's nailing your vendor experience. And I like alliteration as much as the next guy, so I like to include it in a lot of my presentations, and you'll hear more of that as we go along. So let's start with presence, okay? We're going to hit kind of, it's not that it's all over the place. It's that I want to give you just the cream. Okay. So we're going to just kind of bullet point a bunch of this information. So in regard to presence, we want to talk about objectives before anything else. Now, I'm attending a business conference that I absolutely love at the end of the month. And one of the things many years ago when I started going to this business conference that I got from the organizer that I thought was so valuable was this. She sent out an email and said, 30 days before any of you come to this event, sit down with a piece of pen and paper and write down, what are your objectives? What do you want out of this event? Very specifically. Do you want more social following? Do you want more email addresses? Do you want sold product? Do you want booked services? If so, how much? What does that look like? Get clear about what the objective outcome is of you giving your life energy all day to this event. So spend some time on your objectives before the event happens, okay? Now, my husband is the sweetest man on earth. And when we talk about going to a movie, I'll say, honey, what movie do you want to go to? And then he says what he wants to go to, and then I tell him what we're going to go to. So although I have just said, think about what your objectives are, spend some time just brainstorming that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what your objectives should be. And here's why. I spent a lot of time in my career setting objectives that didn't have the best interest of the business in mind. So I'm going to encourage you to set objectives that have a financial impact in mind. So a dollar amount. How much business do you want to build very specifically from this event? Social following, those you don't actually own those. Email list is amazing, and that is definitely an objective, but as you are rounding out your objectives for this event, I want you to be thinking about bottom line. How much do you want to generate? What's going to be your return on your investment here? And get a number in mind, okay? So think about that. All right, let's talk about booth pre-prep. If you are thinking the first time you're going to set up your booth is the day of the event, I want you to rethink it. I have done that. Probably some of you who are a little more experienced vendors have done that, and you know it's a very large mistake. You do not put your best foot forward when you set up your booth on the morning of the event for the very first time. Here's why. You have a vision and there's a space, and very often those two don't marry. When I do an event and I'm a vendor, I literally masking tape out on my floor the space of the booth, and I set it up and tear it down several times. You want to know how long it takes you to set up, because you do not want to be setting up while people are coming in the door. You want to know how long it takes you to break down. You want to try a few different ways and arrangements. And you might get it all set up and go, oh my gosh, I need acrylic stand-up things for such and such. Well, you can't do that on the day of the event. You might say, oh, I need a totally different tablecloth. This is not working. So make sure that you practice setting up and tearing down before the event. I know that sounds like a bit of a hassle, but it is very important. Mapping out setup, contingency. Yes. You want to go through, before the actual event, you want to go through worst case scenario situations. So what happens if the Wi-Fi goes out? What happens if you run out of cards, or you run out of product, or your iPad dies, or whatever? Just think of everything that could go wrong. Create a solution in your mind. Your stress will dramatically decrease if you do that. Okay. Obviously, what you wear, comfortable footwear. I always take a second pair of shoes, lots of water and snacks. Yes, you're at a natural food expo, but you may not be able to get away that much to actually feed yourself. So make sure you bring your own food. Those are all very, very important. But one of the most important things to do before the event is write down the 10 most frequently asked questions that you get from customers and script your answer. Script it so well that you're prepared to answer it in the exact same way 300 times in one day, because that can happen. Also, if you have anybody else manning the booth with you, a daughter, a friend, they need to be as well scripted as you are. You need to be a consistent, unified front with the same message to every single customer. So spend some time on that. It's a good exercise to go through anyway, is looking at what are my most common questions? How do I really want to respond to those instead of just responding in the moment? So top 10 questions, something to do before the event. Booth setup, just some tips. And you guys may have a really great design in mind, and that's awesome. But if you're like, I don't even know what to do, then think about just some of these basics. Think vertical, not flat. Anything anybody needs to read, try to have it standing up. Think layers and levels. So instead of a flat tablecloth with a couple of clipboards on it, which is boring, think of risers, ways to get your product or your message up higher, down lower, so it's just pleasing to the eye. Think of, instead of just a regular tablecloth, maybe you have some kind of like organza or something that kind of creates texture. That's really important. It draws people in. So do spend some time on that design. Make sure your anything in your booth is brand consistent. So colors need to be consistent or complementary. And without seeing your logo or anything, I should see that your company is represented by the colors and the design. I'll give you an example. Dr. Laura actually shared this example with me. She said one of the events, she hadn't done events for a while and she started doing events again. And she said one of the things that worked really well for her is she had a frame with photos going on it. Now, Dr. Laura, one of her businesses is that she sells soul-inspired retreats. And if I walked up to her booth and I just saw a clipboard with some paper on it and a blue tablecloth and her sitting there, I would not get an impression of what she's selling. But when I walk up and I see this picture frame and women doing yoga on the beach and women painting creatively and lectures and all sorts of incredible food, now that paints a picture for me and I know what I'm looking at. So that was a good example for her of creating something that was brand consistent that really attracted people. So think about that as you're going along. Pricing, and this is all to do with booth setup, and we're going to talk a little bit about pricing again at the end, but keep your pricing simple. You may be tempted to go 20% off these and 10% off these, and I'm going to give all these discounts to attendees, and you do want to consider that. But you have to imagine that you are so busy and 25 people asking you the price on something because it's not well posted or things are all different prices. Try to keep it consistent for your own sanity. So if you can just $10 or $20 or 2 for whatever, just maybe 2 or 3 different pricing structures, unless you have a ton of different product, obviously you can't do it that way. But if you have the option to keep your pricing simple, you will be very happy in the end. Think about your checkout. So if you are selling a product or you're signing up for services, what's your checkout going to look like? You may go, well, I'm doing my iPad. Well, run through how many you think you can actually process in a say a 30-minute period, and think about how many people are going to be there. So, and think about, what if that fails? What's your backup plan? You do not want to lose sales on this day. And so think worst case scenario, your iPad breaks in half, your phone's not working, the Wi-Fi is not working. So processing via your iPad and your phone, maybe have a backup plan. Okay, I always bring with me like a little receipt book and a notepad, so that if I have to go old school to process payments, I can do that. And so consider that as you are focusing on how's this booth going to be set up and how is it practical for flow. Second person, I cannot emphasize this enough. So if you are planning to work the booth alone, God love you, I'm going to strongly encourage that you don't put yourself in that situation. If at all possible, you can bring a second person, even for a portion of the day. It will help so much, because here's what happens. You have to sneak away to go to the bathroom. You have to sneak away to get lunch. Inevitably, that's when people stop at your booth. You're processing someone with a payment and it's glitchy and this person is asking a lot of questions. You're watching someone kind of wait for you. They'll walk away. You want a second support person there to help educate and process clients through your booth in a very smooth and attentive way. And if you want to break away and go share your story and your brand and your business with the other vendors or people who are way across at the other end of the event hall, then you have the flexibility to do that. So consider a second person. Signups. Okay, the elusive email address. Most of you know that the email address is golden, and Facebook signups, Instagram signups, YouTube subscribers, they're lovely, but you don't own them. They are not yours to keep. They could go away in a minute. So at the minimum, consider collecting email addresses. Now, people are savvy and they're sick of being asked for their email address, so they don't give it up very easily. So you have to have some reason they want to give it to you. There has to be a fair exchange there. There has to be a value. So in your booth, you may be doing a giveaway, which can secure email addresses. You might be handing out some educational tools via email, and that's a great way to secure email. So if I'm saying at my booth, I'm giving away a digital copy of my 3-day reset book, then people are like, yeah, I'll sign up for that. Okay, so the email acquisition is a big portion of your booth. All right, not just for people who purchase product, but you want to get as many of those email addresses as possible. And then we're going to be creating a relationship with those people. And we're going to come back to that in a little bit. Attitude, we're still on kind of presence, booth setup, booth sign up, all of that stuff. But I want to talk a little bit about attitude, because I remember when I first started doing events, I had in my head the mistaken thought that I'm just doing this for exposure. I just want to get to know some of the in my neighborhood. I want to get to know people around the local community. You guys are giving your life energy to this entire day. You're putting lots of thought into preparing your table, paying for giveaways and things to make your booth amazing. There's a big value there, and you want a good return on investment. So if you are thinking, oh, this is just an exposure opportunity for me, please put that away, because it doesn't need to be just that. It can be so much more. So when this goes back to what's your objective, what is your intention for this event? You want business. Okay, don't be afraid to say, I want to sign some people up. I want to sell some product. I want this to be a lucrative day for me. Okay, so now that we know that, let's talk about the offer. So when you have a booth and there's lots of vendors, people are attracted to an offer or something that's interesting or catches their attention. The first thing you want to do is make sure that offer is brand appropriate. So if you are a meditation center, raffling off a TV is maybe not your best choice. So you want to make it brand consistent. You want to make it too good to refuse. So you may not be able to budget for something really big, but perhaps you could put together some of your best, if you are, let's say you're selling doTERRA or essential oils, maybe you have some great DIY recipes you could put together in a PDF and say, hey, I will send you all of these awesome, amazing recipes. Just put your email address. We're going to do that after the show. Or maybe it's a drawing for a free copy of something that you've produced, something along those lines. So you can have a choice here for your signups. It can be a product that everybody gets, maybe a digital product, or maybe it's one big thing that you're going to draw for. And I can tell you how to handle both of those. And so offer too good to refuse. Make sure that you have a disclaimer at the bottom of your sign-up sheet, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Now, you might be savvy and doing all your sign-ups online. You want to have a stand-up placard that says, by signing up for our raffle, I'll read you mine so you can listen to what I say, and then I'll tell you kind of how it might want to go for you. So so at the bottom of my sign-up list, okay, it's just an example, all right? At the bottom it says, I will also be adding you to the Well Fit and Fed email list. You will not be spammed. The content you will receive is highly curated and referenced, but feel free to unsubscribe at any time. You can also say something on your disclaimer that says, by writing your email address, you are agreeing to get occasional, pertinent, relevant information that we think you might really enjoy. Feel free to unsubscribe at any time. You can't just take a bunch of email addresses and add them to a list where you're emailing people all the time if you haven't let them know you're going to do that. So on your sign-up list, just make sure you have that disclaimer down at the bottom, or if you're doing sign-ups online, then either on the page where they sign their name on your iPad, or on a placard that stands up and gives that information. Be clear about how people are going to be contacted in regard to winning. So if you have some kind of raffle or a giveaway, have somewhere, maybe where they sign up, or a little sign saying, winner will be contacted within 1 week of the event. It's just nice to do. And it also is, I think, I don't want to say it's legal, but it's important that giveaways and that kind of thing and how you draw for your giveaway is really important. Speaking, side note, random number drawing, super easy to do. You can just look up random number draw and a whole bunch of websites come up that will randomly draw a number for you so that you are really legally properly doing your drawing. So keep that in mind. I think mine's called random number something. I can't remember, but perhaps you guys have used that before. What other kinds of things are you going to have in your booth to let people walk away with? So if they haven't purchased something from you or they haven't signed up, how can they continue to know about you? So that's the freebies, right? And again, they need to be brand consistent. They don't have to be expensive. Stickers are great. There's lots of little things that you can consider that people can walk away with. I'm doing an event coming up, and it's for the Change Cave, which is an online membership that I run for women over 40. And I found online black jump ropes for $1.25 each, and they're actually pretty good. So I'm going to put those in a wine bag with some information about the Change Cave. With around the top is the business card of the Change Cave with some more information and a QR code on the back. So there's lots of creative ways that you can do this on a budget if you want to, but having something for someone to walk away with, even though they're not a customer, is really important. Call those freebies. All right, let's talk branding. The customer journey is a very important place to start when you're considering how everything is going to be branded. So from the moment your customer gets a first touch on your business, what's their journey? How are they processed? How do they decide to purchase a product? How does the purchase of the product go? How do you follow up with them after they do that or after they sign up for your list? So spend some time just kind of thinking about what's the perfect customer journey. And that leans into branding in regard to you are your brand, okay? Everything you do, everything you say, everything that is appearance-wise on you or the person who's with you or your table is a brand, okay? A lot of people mistake that a brand is a logo. That's part of it, but branding is what do people feel when they get to know your business and what is their impression, all right? So prior to the event, you want to be spreading brand information. And how do we do that? Well, one of the best ways to do that is to do a behind the scenes for the 2 weeks before the event. So snapshot the swag that you're going to be giving out, snapshot the PDF that you're going to be giving out, do a live talking about you're so excited about this health expo and how you're preparing for it. Take your 10 frequently asked questions and do a live answering each of those. Get people excited about the fact you're going to be at this event and how cool that is and how excited you are. So doing those lives can be, and if you look right now, you can see I'm branded in that corner. And so there are ways to brand your videos and to make sure people hear the name of your business and about your business multiple times before they even buy their ticket, before they even walk in the door. All right. And you can also do some boosting on some of those lives and social stuff that you do. Send out emails to your list that you have already and let them know where you're going to be. This is all really, really important for kind of securing a really strong foundational sense of brand. Okay. One of the things I think about in regard to branding is it takes 7 or 8 touches for someone to recall who you are, what your business name is, right? And you're not going to necessarily get 7 or 8 touches on one day. So how do we do that? Well, my recommendation is that you have at least 3 marketing collateral pieces that every person who purchases from you walks away with, and at least 1 for those who don't. And so what does that look like? Well, your bags that you put product in should be branded. Your maybe you have a little tag on the top, that's your business card, and that might have some information on the back. That's a piece. Maybe you slide in one of your best recipes or some information about the product that is all branded. And the product itself can act as a brand. One little trick that I saw that some event planners do is they take their business card and they leave it blank on the back, and that becomes a price tag. So wrapped on whatever product they have, that might have a business card that has the price on the back, and that way they have one more extra piece of marketing collateral that is going with the person. Okay, social media handles is another way to spread your brand. So make sure in your booth that it is very clearly marked where you are on Facebook, where you are on Instagram, and if you're on any other social channels, how do we find you there? Have it even if you need it in a couple places so people can really see that easily. Okay, we're going to move on to posture. That was presence. So posture, what I mean by that is physically, what are we doing throughout the day? How are we communicating? What does the conversation look like? How does conversion happen? And so when we think of posture, let's first literally talk about what is our posture for the day. Well, it's very important that you don't sit. As much as possible, don't sit. It is an emotional shutdown. It draws the energy into the floor. People walk by a booth when people are just sitting behind it. I don't walk by a booth when someone is standing out in front and making eye contact. So make sure that you energy up for the day so that you can do that all day. Be out in front, high energy, arms down by your side, never crossed across here. Be open, all right, and welcoming And some of that may seem so automatic, but you will be surprised at how often you find yourself in a little bit of a closed posture as you get tired. So that's basic positioning and eye contact. Obviously, these are basics. Another little trick is, as people sign up, connect with them via their first name if you can catch it on the email sign up. And that, people hearing their own name, there are little sparks that go off in people's brains when they hear their own name, and it is a pleasure center. So if you can use someone's name by sneaking a glance at the sign up, or connecting with them and saying, let me know your name, and responding to them a couple of times by using their name, that is huge for building a relationship. And what you are doing all day is building little tiny relationships throughout the whole day. Mirroring. So some basics in communication are that when you are talking with someone, you get a better connection when you mirror them. So if they're talking really quietly and they're kind of down like this, you're going to want to lean in and just speak also kind of quietly and mirror what they're doing. If they're super direct and they want, the most information right now, and I don't want to stand here for very long, you can raise your energy a little bit and you can connect with them in that way. And that can really, really help bridge a connection between the two of you. Smart, small talk. All right. You have seconds to connect with somebody. So what comes out of your mouth initially is very important. So I suggest you prepare with a few questions that you are ready to ask somebody if they come up, because questions, of course, going to engage instead of just, hey there, how are you enjoying the event? Or have you heard of these products before? Or what do you use? Or have you been to a naturopath before? These are all great, just sort of starter questions. Keep them softballs. I mean, we don't want to dig right in from the very moment and scare people off, but start a conversation, start to get engaged, give them your full attention. Okay. And that brings up another part. It is so tempting that when you're not busy to be on your phone or your laptop. Absolute no. People see you from far away. You may not realize they're looking at you, but they will not come over there because you look completely disengaged. So just make it a rule that unless absolutely necessary, you do not have your laptop open or don't have your nose in your phone. So smart small talk, stay off the phone and the computer, obviously, unless you're processing somebody. Mirroring, body position, these are all really important. 30-second intro. That's something that a lot of us actually aren't very good at, and that is your elevator speech. What do you do? Who are you? What are you about? How are you different than everybody else? All in 30 seconds. So if you don't have a really concise, good 30-second intro, I suggest you practice it. So that is something that you can do long before you get to the event, because you're going to be asked so many times about your business, how it's different than the other business across the hallway there, or why you're different than any other naturopath in Newmarket or wherever you are. And you need to be prepared to share why you are unique in your business and how you approach things differently and why you are so valuable. Okay. Conversion. When I first started doing events, and I've already alluded to this, I started out going, well, I'm just going to get some exposure. I'm just going to, and it was my insecure way of not doing the work that needed to be done to get the most out of the event. So it was, I think I was actually being lazy when I was like, well, I'm just going to go get some exposure. I'm not actually going to sign people up. I just want to let them know about my business. That didn't work, and it was a waste of my time. And I suggest it potentially could be a waste of yours as well. So then I moved to signing people up for appointments. Let's say it was when I was doing chiropractic events, signing people up for appointments, but there was no special offer for attendees. It was just like, oh, you want to sign up? Okay, well, just, put your name here and I'll call you during the week and we'll get you an appointment. Conversion there was terrible because they either wouldn't call you back or you didn't get them in the books or whatever. So why not do the most effective way of converting the most amount of people in the time and energy that you are spending at this event? So what I have found to be most effective is actual signups at the event with a limited time offer for attendees. You can make it just for that day, which is what I suggest. But if you want to make it, if they say, well, I don't have time to sign up right now. Okay, well, if you take this card, you have 2 days to sign up after the event. So giving them a little bit of a pressure, a timeline is a bit of a pressure cooker. It makes people kind of make that decision a little bit more easily and more quickly. And so signing up with a limited time offer, which is some kind of discount or some kind of add-on that you don't normally give, and make the appointments right there. And the actual best conversion is when I would have people pay right there. So I'll just give you a totally random example. So let's say I'm a naturopath and my initial examination is $250. If somebody signs up during the event, I'm giving it for $99, only during the day of the event, and payment is due at the time of sign up. Now, if somebody says, well, I don't know my schedule, we have to think about what resistance questions are we going to get right out of the gate and have an answer. So when I hear, well, I don't know my schedule, here's what I say. I said, well, let's go ahead and just put you in the books because it's actually easier to move than to find an appointment later on. So let's put an earmarker in, and then you just call and you can shift it into wherever you want to do it. And that way you can take advantage of the special offer that we have today. That's easy. If somebody else says, I want to think about it, then you say, okay, no problem. Just remember that it is limited time just for today. And if you sign up and you change your mind, fully refundable. And so there's lots of different ways to kind of lean into that resistance a little bit and help people make a really great choice to come and do business with you. Yes, so I think that's good on conversion. So let's talk a little bit about persistence. Okay. Persistence, why I called it persistence is, well, I'll give you an embarrassing example of my own, and that is I was doing a business retreat recently, and I was going through my email subscriber and looking at all of my sub lists. And I saw a list. I'm like, I don't recognize that list. It was called Make It Happen. And so I look at it. There's 75 people on there that are only on that list, and they're not on my main list. And I'm like, what was that? And it was from 2016. So I looked it up. It was an event. It was one of my very first events I attended when I shifted into my online business. And it was an event I did, and I gathered almost 70 very valuable email addresses and never did anything with them. That is a big mistake. And so I emailed them all. I said, you know what? My bad. I told you I would add you to my main list so that you could get really great content, recipes, exercises, all of these different things. I dropped the ball. I'm going to give you this free time mapping PDF as penance. I also am going to give you the offer of being added to the main list now. Would you like to convert? Click of a button is all it was going to take. How was the conversion? Terrible. Because it's 2 years later, 3 years later. So it's just an example to say, when you get these people's very valuable email addresses, we have to massage them a little bit, continue to build the relationship. So all the way back to pre-prep, my suggestion to you is that you have 2 emails ready to go before you even go to the event. The first email is, thank you so much for stopping by our booth. We so appreciated it. And I noticed that you signed up for the giveaway. We're going to be raffling that off in 2 days or giving that. We'll announce the winner. Simple, short, to the point. The next email is the announcement of who won. And hey, if you are not the winner, then I am extending this offer. I am offering you a complimentary such and such. Give them something of value. They signed up with you and they didn't win the whatever, but you still have an opportunity to continue to build a relationship with them and provide them with some kind of special service if you want to, or special product offer. You can do that. And then you want to make sure that you are emailing your list fairly regularly, because relationships die if they don't hear from you. And, a lot of us go, I don't want to seem spammy. I don't want to email all the time. Guess what? People don't have to open them. They can go, I do. Sometimes there's a one that I get all the time called The Good Trade. That is a phenomenal newsletter. Monday through Friday, I get it. I open 3 a week. Some emails, I don't even open that often. It's their choice to open it. But it's you who can send them really great content, good information about your products or services, continue to build the relationship so that when you have a new product or a different service down the road, you already have a connection with them and they want to support you. All right. So think about your email, what's called a drip, your email drip after the event. What's that going to look like? We don't want to just drop everybody, right? Okay. We're getting close. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So what is success going to look like for you? We talked about setting objectives, but what about setting really clear, not just goals, but stretch goals and leap goals? I'm a big fan of blowing it out of the water. So when you set your sort of base goal, what would a stretch goal look like? What would make you really happy? And what would blow your mind? Just putting that number down on paper and getting it rattling around in your brain can start the juices flowing of you being that much more focused, that much more energized throughout the day, that much more intentional in your conversations. So going through that process of not just goal setting, but looking at stretch and leap, being very specific, having all of your emails and stuff done beforehand, all of that preparation is going to pay off for you. So that, I think, is all I had. I'm just checking my notes. Yes. You guys, this is going to be an incredible event. I am hoping to be there, coming all the way from Seattle. I'm very excited about it. And I think, this sounds weird, but I think you're really lucky to be a part of it because I think this is going to be just incredible. So I wish you all the best success. And remember presence, posture, and persistence as you go about preparing. Number 4, preparing for the setup, the breakdown, the relationship in between, in all of that time that you will get to interact with people who are dying for your business. So enjoy, and let me know if you have any questions. I can be reached. My company is called Well Fit and Fed, and I am consistent across all platforms as Well Fit and Fed. So you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. I would love to hear from you if you have any questions. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you. So you guys have a great evening or afternoon, wherever you are and whenever you're watching this. And best of luck to you at your event.